So, again, welcome everyone to this webinar, and my name is Ekaterina Markelova. Today I will lead you through this exciting topic, and I hope that everyone and each of you will find some opportunities for you in this global movement. So today's outline is, we will start with the introduction of myself, so you will get a little bit familiar with who am I. Then we will speak about why business often gets sustainability wrong, why it is not that easy to make everyone and every business sustainable. We will take some case studies and take a look at the Tesla's example and discuss what is it sustainable or maybe not very sustainable approaches in their case. By the end of this webinar, I will introduce you to my international school that we created with the team of international experts. And for those who will stay with us to the end of the webinar, will get a special offer. And of course, we will have some time for open discussions. So if you have any questions, feel free to write them during this webinar in the chat, or just save them for the very last minute, and I will welcome you to open discussion. Again, my name is Ekaterina, and I have a double PhD in Earth, Environment and Universe from 2 different universities and 2 different countries, which are Canada and France. And 2 years ago, I became educator of climate change with National Geographic. Since then, I'm heavily involved in the teaching activities, as well as being an expert in a very specific field, which is biogeochemistry. So I can provide the consulting services based on scientific-based facts and to help to become more environmental friendly with technologies and different activities of the companies on different scales. As well, I'm a professor of environment and sustainability at Samara University, which is based in Russia. And I'm a director of the Sustainable Business Strategy School that will be held online very soon, already in 7 days. And we will speak about it a little bit more later on. So what is the formula of sustainable business? What is it that difficult to grasp with this question in the business? And to come to the formula of sustainable business, I would like to lead you through 3 steps, where originally came the understanding of the sustainability and how it developed on the way to business. So if we think from the scientific point of view, the sustainability it is the capacity of the biosphere and human civilization to continuously coexist in the same planet. This is maybe a little bit tricky explanation, but basically it is about the dynamic relationships or dynamic equilibrium between the humanity and the biosphere within we are living. And in thermodynamics, this could be called like dynamic equilibrium of reversible reactions between humans and ecosystem. So this is about being, doing our business basically in the reverse way. And right now, perhaps what we can see is that the humanity is living in one way. So we are taking more than we can put back in the flow of energy and matter. And this observation from scientific point of view made it clear that what is happening right now is not sustainable. So there is a need for sustainability. And that's how it came to the sustainable development, which is already a little bit far beyond from scientific level. It goes already to strategic level. And this is basically the implementation of systems thinking across different interdisciplinary fields and interconnected pillars. And mainly we are including 3 pillars. It is environmental, social, and economic. And I think everyone who joined this webinar today already have heard a lot about sustainable development goals. So I won't go into that direction because I think that after 5 years, everybody already know this more or less in details. But I wanted just to highlight that sustainable development is is a development, is a continuous process. So it's kind of hard to estimate, is goal the fulfilled or not fulfilled, because it's a process. And finally, coming from the strategic level to more operational level is basically the level of sustainable business. What business can do to fulfill the sustainable development goals, to finally reach the global sustainability in its global vision. And I really like this simple, but at the same time, it explains really well this description of what is sustainable business. And it is profitable in the long term, which is important, and the business that protect the environment and natural resources. And at the same time, it also contributes to social equality and equity. So basically, it is the kind of business that operates and take cares about all the three domains: environmental, social, and economic. And this is all the theory, and basically why it is so difficult to implement this theory. And unfortunately, what we can see so far, have been many efforts done towards sustainability, but since still we don't see much great results or changes in the environmental planetary boundaries. So I collected these three issues that I think somehow causing these problems why business often gets sustainability wrong. And the first problem is not related to business itself. It's a general problem of globalization when we don't have consistent way how to communicate the scientific data and the sustainable development agenda. So there are always such kind of questions like, what is more important? Is it to decrease greenhouse gas emissions or protect biodiversity? Because you may have heard that, for example, putting all the efforts into the new technologies to decrease greenhouse gas emissions, for example, from the renewable energy, at the same time, it puts a heavy impact on the biodiversity when we build solar panels. We need rare earth elements. And to extract these rare earth elements, we need mining, which is often aggressive extraction procedure, which leads to the crossing of many planetary boundaries. So there are always these questions and how to find the balance, what is more important or where my business could serve the best to make this positive impact. The second issue, I would say, it's about the confusion of the mechanisms. It is specifically what to do and how to do it. And yeah, I just mentioned about the solar panels. For example, it's not only aggressive to environment if we are using these non-conflict-free metals, but it also could be causing some impact to childs. Because sometimes we still can see that there is a child slave labor, and even though it is used to create renewable energy, which is considered a sustainable technology, in the overall picture of such kind of business, we cannot call this sustainable business. And the third issue is, in general, there is a lack of experts. We've been so many years into the specific fields of science, specific fields of engineering, architecture, biological activities, different type of experts we have nowadays. And it's time to go across disciplines and to gain this systems thinking across boundaries, across disciplines. And it is a continuous learning. As I mentioned, it is a development. So it's a process, and not everyone is ready to spend entire life for continuous learning. So it should be highly motivated experts with the interest to learn and find something new around their own field of expertise. And I see that these kind of experts are appearing nowadays, but in general, there is a still lack of them. And I have a question to you about Tesla case study. Do you think Tesla is a good role model for a sustainable business, or no, or maybe somewhere in between? So please write this in the our chat, and I wonder what do you think about this question? Maybe you have heard some case studies already shown on this company, or maybe not yet. Anyway, let's see what you think. Somewhere in between, as electric cars are more sustainable, but the production requires deforestation, which has been highlighted. Very nice point. I see that we have very deep thinking participants, and it's really encouraging. That really helps me to understand the level of your background. And hard question, but I think not. All right. Anyone else? Not yet. Yes. All right. Yeah, it's not an easy answer. Of course, it's a big company and it has so many different activities. So it's very hard to say just yes or no. And that's why we will see a little further some thoughts about it, and we can discuss it later on at the end of the webinar. All right, I will continue, but please feel free sharing your ideas. And let me see how I can, maybe the initial idea is supposed to be sustainable, but implementation improvements are required. Like every time. I think we'll always need the implementation improvements, no matter what the stage of the technology or business is. All right. Let me see what I can do. I'm a little lost with how to hide the chat screen. I see now their answers. It's not. Sorry for the technical inconveniences. I'm trying to figure out. How to switch off the chat. All right, so now I will share the screen again, and I think we will see what I want. All right, so I see that you have different answers, and I totally agree that there is no simple answer to that question. And today what I offer you is just one of the opinions. So it just, the intention is to open the way we think about this sustainable business, and not about any judgments or conclusions. So there is a citation that I really like from the business professor, which is also the researcher on conflict and the sustainability, who is saying that Tesla can solve the sustainability challenges of the world, just not in the way it is doing right now. So of course, there are enormous opportunities for such big corporates and companies to have a positive impact to change the world already now. But as you mentioned in the comments, there is always opportunities to improve. And let's see what are the issues right now that the Tesla company has. And I've divided issue per 3 pillars, as I want you to think is environmental, social, and economic. And this first is about environmental domain. And there are some issues, for example, with the raw materials, so that the Tesla, when it is extracting the raw materials, from the 100% of raw materials extracted from the earth, it is using only 60%. So almost a half of the raw materials is wasted as scrap. And basically, this is a question of the efficiency of the design of the technologies. And of course, it can be improved. And for example, Ford company is also a car company. It has already target to make a 0% waste to the landfills. And it means that, of course, there are new technologies that allow us to make this loop, to close the loop of using raw materials. And Tesla has much more way forward to improve this issue. The second issue is electricity grid. And this is not related to Tesla specifically, but we can say that it relates to general electric cars in the world. Because in the world, there are just few countries that produce low carbon energy, but most of the countries still heavily use petroleum, natural gas, and coal, which produce significant amount of greenhouse gases. So, for example, in the States, about 77% of electricity is generated from these highly intense greenhouse gas sources. And what do we know about the best clean countries, let's say? It's Norway with its dominant amount of electricity grid coming from hydroelectricity. And also France, where the highest amount of electricity is coming from the nuclear power. So these kinds of electricities are considered low carbon emissions. And basically from in these countries, if you buy electric cars, you can be you can feel satisfaction that you're using the car that is not producing the carbon dioxide and other gases during its exploitation. But if you go at the entire value chain and life cycle, you feel confident that the electricity is also from low carbon sources. What about the waste? In general, again, it's not about the Tesla, but the industry of electric cars. Right now, there are challenges of how to recycle the waste from electric cars. And the problem is that the electric waste is much harder to recycle, is basically to detach the compartments and alloys of metals that had been created to be so robust. And from the physical and chemical point of view, from material science, there are still a lot of scientific gaps how to make this reusable or recyclable. And the most optimistic data, what I found is that about 30% of electronic waste is recyclable in the States, whereas in the world is even less. And in comparison, if you think about the regular car, we don't have such strong metallic alloys that allow to separate different parts, and it allows for reuse and recycle of up to 80% of different car compartments. And finally, the biohazard of electronic waste. I think you always heard about the type of, for example, the batteries that we use not only in the cars, but at our home, that it's not just a waste, it's a specific hazardous waste because it contains heavy metals and other elements which pose toxicity to human and environment. So in this slide, it's not only about Tesla, it's about generally about the electric car industry. But Tesla has some issues that it has to improve very rapidly. On the next slide, I would like to show you the social domain of Tesla's company. And there are such facts that the worker safety is often sacrificed in the factories because they are targeting for very fast production. And there was a big event because there were too many injuries that PR, they created the very hype move, but as experts say, they didn't follow it. So it's not always that the image that we see in the social media about the companies, that their intentions or their promises, they're not always fulfilled. That's something also to think about it, how responsible and sustainable it. Also, there are some issues that they work is to join the community unions. And of course, it's nice if you have your local workers that supporting your vision, but instead of forcing, there should be different techniques like raising awareness or team building activities. And so far, Tesla has some issues with this as well. And finally, the key material that is needed to produce electric cars, it is raw materials from conflict zones. And for example, lithium, which is required for electric engines, it is needed for, it is taken from conflict areas like Bolivia. So there are also some issues to think over entire value chain and the gaps that can be improved. And finally is economic domain, and there are also some issues. Basically, Tesla is a great company, but it heavily depends on highly expensive infrastructure beyond the company. And there are estimates that this extra infrastructure, which includes new charging stations, new type of electricity generation as low carbon electricity grids, and other new technologies for long distance and heavy transport, for delivering foods, for like trucks. Of course, nowadays, Tesla cannot fulfill all these requirements, and extra investment from the government is required, which is approximated in billions of dollars. And some experts say that the same investment could be invested in other ways of sustainable changes. For example, to make cities more comfortable for public transport, to make this public transport more comfortable, more joyful, so that in overall we would decrease the amount of transport, but not keep always increasing this amount of products that we want. Also, yeah, different activities could be covered or could be financed by the government if not invested into specific one type of car. And another issue is many people and small businesses have concern that basically Tesla has regulatory credits which are made from the air. This sounds like a joke, but maybe you have heard about carbon offsetting. And basically this is the points that government, US government, creates that it gives to Tesla for zero emissions. And these created points later on Tesla can sell. And this basically covers the tax credits and selling to other companies. And in just last year, 2020, Tesla sold more than 1 billion American dollars these regulatory credits. I see the mistake, it's written in 2021, of course it was in 2020, when there was a pretty tough economic situation in the world due to COVID-19 and pandemic situation. So there are also concerns why other companies and small business who has less economic sustainability has to buy these regulatory credits from such gigantic companies whose question to sustainability is not resolved yet. So this concept is very closely relating to the carbon offsetting. And I hope that we will have time to discuss this question during the open discussion session after these slides. So what Tesla can do? Let's be not only suspective, but let's think critically. It's a great corporate with very bright and smart president. And of course, there are many opportunities how Tesla can change the world towards global sustainability. And first of all, it's a great social impact. And Elon Musk, he is already doing it because he is supporting environmental commitments, and he is doing it not only at the corporate or business level, he is doing at the governmental level as well. For example, he exited the board of economic experts of Trump when he decided to withdraw US from the Paris climate change agreement. So this decision by Elon Musk created a great social impact, which in general increase environmental awareness of, I would say, almost all over the world. So I hope he will still be honest to his commitments at the governmental and business level. Also, such big companies, they can show that they are prepared for the innovations, not only in technological, but also in the regulatory. So it's not necessary that we have to be forced by taxes or by other laws. We can go ahead and propose our own solutions and bright ideas that other companies could follow on. And Tesla can offer it because they have enough financial support from the government and as an economic state of the company itself. And of course, from the social aspect is that Tesla can reconsider the entire life cycle of these cars and buy raw materials from conflict-free zones, which also be a very significant gesture at the governmental levels. And we all know about Tesla as super modern and innovative cars. So of course there is lots of opportunities to make cars more efficient products. And it's not something impossible. Other car companies who produce also electric cars, they're already demonstrating it. So it's not like rocket science, and Tesla has everything to make their engines more efficient, not to waste the precious raw materials. Also, they can apply eco-design, so it would not only reduce the cost of raw materials, but it also reduce the amount of waste which is produced. So it's both economic and environmental benefits, and this something there are many strategies and models that have one big umbrella that is called circular economy. And right now, so much sources are available, so I'm pretty sure if they want to implement some of the eco-design strategies, it won't cost them much. And of course, as an innovation, Tesla can invest into other efforts like improve local roads, improve local buses, or transport infrastructure in general. All right. So if you're thinking about buying electric car, what shall you buy, or what cars could be considered more sustainable from the business point of view? And there is a short list of some cars that you can consider. But what I wanted you to take-home message is to remember that when we are speaking about sustainability issues, they're always the matter of specific company and specific technology, and they should not be generalized for the entire industry. So that when we are speaking about clean energy sources or renewable energy, it shouldn't be like all solar panels are renewable sources of energy, or all electric cars sustainable or not sustainable. It's always the question about the entire life cycle of the product, and this is the step forward to evaluate the sustainability of the business in particular. And that's why we decided to contribute to this global movement of sustainability and create the international school, which is called Sustainable Business Strategies. It is international with international speakers, with international students. It is fully online and it starts already next Monday. And it is based at Samara University. So I think I'm good with time. I just spent 30 minutes on the conceptual understanding of what is sustainable business and what is not. And I hope you will get some insights from our school as well. And I think I will cover them in 10 minutes. So stay tuned. What we are offering you is new skills in this new year with our international experts to build a community of like-minded people all over the world. And in our school, we have this system that goes across different disciplines and across different scales. So if you start looking at the company level, we are covering all three dimensions like environmental, economic, and social. And we have experts to cover specific strategies that I will show you on the next slide. Then we go further and consider the relationships and interaction of the company with entire value chain. And there is a continuous dialogue and communication, how to be sustainable at the value chain level. And later on, we go to the broad scope of the stakeholders and basically all the types of the interaction, again, technological that more relate to the environmental issues, economic, how to engage stakeholders for the effective communication of your values, and the social, of course, the final users that are using and creating the value to our business. And what is important to keep in mind that all these systems, they are within the big global system, which is called biosphere. And this is important to keep in mind because the biosphere provides us ecosystem services. Without these services, not any business can survive. So this is something that we tend to forget sometimes, or sometimes we see that some companies focus only on environmental aspects. And this is unfortunately also not sustainable because there is close interconnection between our relationships with biosphere and how it affects our social behavior and life. So this is all highly interconnected, and the specifics of our school is that we are looking at the systems at different levels. And what our school covers is more than 50 strategies from the circular economy, from the carbon offsetting methods, sustainable business models, on case studies of different companies, successful, not very successful. So we're having group activities to take hands-on and work with these case studies. We have stakeholder engagement strategies that we can also practice at the workshops. We have 10 training modules, so they cover broad area of topics, and we are focusing on one specific sustainable development goals, which is a climate change. Of course, we mention other sustainable development goals, but we go really in depth to understand the current policies and practices with regard to climate change. We show you how to calculate carbon footprint and most importantly, how to report it. So it wouldn't be like greenwashing, it would be really towards the sustainability. As I mentioned, the key feature is systems thinking, and we have experts from Australia who are having 2 modules on interactive learning, how to apply this systems thinking, not only in your business, but also in your personal life. And this way of thinking changes your way of living forever. Well, I won't go further. You can always find detailed program in our website. As I mentioned, we have different experts, and for graduate students, if you are looking for credits, we are granting you 4 credits. And for, of course, everyone, upon a successful graduation after 2 weeks, we are issuing an international certificate if you need a proof of your sustainability skills. And we believe that everyone has a role in sustainability, and it can go at different levels. If you're a scientist, you can get insights on environmental sciences and social sciences, material sciences that we will discover in the circular economy strategies. If you're expert already working on the sustainable development goals at your job, you can also think how you can improve your skills and how to be more effective having this systems thinking approach. And for managers, of course, you will be inspired with lots of strategic ideas and approaches which are not only based on companies' case studies. Most importantly, they are based on the scientific data. Most of our experts in our schools, they have PhD degrees, environmental, economic, and social sciences. So we provide a very strong scientific background on all the case studies that we provide. And as Dalai Lama says, each of you has the opportunity, but also the responsibility to change the world. That's nothing to add on, I think. Just to finish about this, we have some special features. As I mentioned, we are very proud to have such a scientific-based team of experts. It's about the systemic perspective with a holistic approach on environmental, social, and economic values. All these studies are live. There are no pre-recorded videos. Everything happens on the day when you join us, so there is a full interaction and group activities. And after the school, we don't lose your contacts. You always stay in touch with our community of sustainability like-minded people. And the prices. I told you that for those who will watch this webinar to the end, we have a special offer. The regular price for this school is $350. And we have the discount for those who watched this webinar live is 40% off. And the price is $210 if you pay till January 8th. Just when you register, you shall write the promo code webinar. And we have even higher discount if you come not alone, but with your friend. Both of you gets 50% discount. So each of you just pays half, and the price is $175 if you join us till January 8th. And if you do it in the last day, because we start January 11, you can always apply till January 10, which will be a full price of $350. So I hope that some of you can find something interesting and useful for your personal growth within our school. And I would like to encourage you basically to look forward to different opportunities. And it's not only our school that is offering such diverse programs. We know many excellent schools around the world, and I encourage you, if you don't go with us, please consider other schools as well, because the sustainable business needs new kind of experts who are motivated for continuous learning and broad knowledge vision. So on this, I would like to thank you for being with me during this webinar. You can find more information about our school through this QR code, or you can write to my personal email or to our school email. And let's stay in contact in LinkedIn. We have the page for our school, and I have my personal page. It's up to you. And also we can connect on Instagram. It's been my pleasure telling you this story and welcoming you to our journey. And now I would like to open the discussion and give a word, give a space for your thoughts. Maybe you have some questions, maybe you have comments. And to start with, I would like to ask you a question. What do you think about the carbon offsetting? Have you heard about it? Do you think it is sustainable in the global scale? Or any thoughts are welcome. So the question is about carbon offsetting. And for now, I would encourage you to open your cameras. That would be really great.
I've heard something. Hi, everyone. My name is Roman Kozlov. I've heard something about the carbon offsetting. I don't know, is everybody familiar with it, but as for me, I think this is not very like sustainable tool to offset the carbon emissions, because you basically you continue polluting your environment in one country, but buying carbon offsets in other countries. So if I'm producing if I had a real polluting production in Europe, I can buy carbon offsetting credits somewhere in Africa. So I think it's not equal. And as for me, it's not very sustainable.
I see your point. Thank you very much for sharing. I think we will listen to other comments, and maybe then I can also share my vision about this question. Anyone else want to comment on this? All right, maybe you haven't heard a lot about this topic, which is relatively new. From my side, I would like to add that at some point I agree with you that you are saying that it's not sustainable at the global scale, because the sustainability has scales, and it's our responsibility to think across scales. So that what we offer at our school is exactly this skill and particular tool, which is called life cycle assessment. So when we consider the entire life cycle of the product, this question becomes very clear, so that, for example, greenhouse gas emissions are produced at one location, but the product is used at different location. The same as with the buying these points for zero emissions at one spot, while producing emissions at the different spot. So I would say, yes, it is a challenging journey for humanity, and to start with, we can recommend the life cycle approach for any kind of product that is produced nowadays. Do we have any other comments or questions?
Yep, regarding the Tesla, so we told that they produce a lot of electric vehicles, and I remember one fact that if we are taking a broader perspective on the entire life cycle of the electric vehicle, they produce more carbon emissions than regular internal combustion engine machines. So maybe they can reduce their carbon dioxide emissions via entire value chain if they will implement some like carbon offsetting mechanisms or basic improvement of the production stage.
Yeah, it's a good idea. And
this is like just a fact for everyone that if you still consider that the electric vehicles, they are much better than internal combustion engine, this is a tricky thing. We can like take a closer look at the tailpipe emissions, or at the entire broader picture, at the entire value chain.
well, yeah, I agree. And also I think that supporting other companies who are doing carbon capture technologies is also important. And if such big corporates have this opportunity to financially support or to buy credits from such environmental protecting or regenerating business, it's also very important and helpful. And nowadays we have a lot of business that is looking forward not only to sustainability, but also to the regenerative design and development. And I think they need this financial support from big corporates via carbon offsetting as well. And I think we have an interesting comment. I will read it from Tara, who is at work environment, so she cannot use screen or mic, so I will be her voice. So she says that I use carbon offsetting myself mainly for when I travel, yet also make sustainable changes in my life to ensure that I'm offsetting more than I produce or try to. Wow, that's very honest answer, and it's really great level of responsibility. It can be a great thing to do, but it has to be done with caution, as different schemes have different parameters, and we need to make sure we're increasing biodiversity in the area, not just planting one species of tree. and instead planting multiple so that soil fertility is increased and so in biodiversity. Thank you for this introduction. It was really interesting. Thank you, Tara. You actually raised all important questions personally to me, because in our team, I am more responsible for environmental domain. And the question is about the biodiversity and greenhouse gases is very relevant, because by trying to solve one of the pains of the planetary boundaries, we are putting under endanger the biodiversity. And all of these impacts to climate change. So that, yes, it's the only sustainable way is to consider not just a tree, but the entire ecosystem of the tree. And the same with all kinds of activities that we are doing to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Thank you very much for this bright answer. We see some other comments, a lot to study in this topic. Well, yes, it's not only a lot, it's also a lot of, not only a lot of materials, but a lot of exciting opportunities you will find while learning, because it's a journey, it's a development. And I think it's a development for our generation. So it's a lifelong journey to find the exciting stories, problems, issues, and to find the gaps that personally you can solve. Do we have any other questions, or about this school? Maybe you have questions, or maybe here in the chat you might write who is thinking about joining our school, or not necessarily our school, but any other schools. Have you heard about other schools, or what do you think about this learning journey? Oh, I see that the carbon offset could be manipulating by some countries. Of course, it's a question of responsibility. And unfortunately, nowadays, a lot of sustainability issues are becoming mixed up. So what we try to do at our school is to make it clear based on the case studies, so that sometimes honest intentions to go sustainable becoming just a greenwashing. And it's important to know the history of success and failures to make right decisions. Thank you for the explanation. It's really an eye-opener for me. It's my pleasure. So yeah, I hope I will see you around, and if not in the school, I hope to stay in contact personally with you via LinkedIn or Instagram. And one day I'm going to prepare the post about other schools that exist in the world about the sustainability topics. Because sustainability is not about competition, even between business or between different schools. It's about co-creation. And what I really want to encourage you is to look for other schools as well, so that you will choose the best, what you want for yourself. And maybe you can also spread a message and increase awareness of your friends and community as well. All right, I think we did great with timing, and I will send you the presentation. I saw some questions about it. So yes, I will send the slides to everyone who was registered officially at this webinar. And for those who is considering to join us, please take time to think about it, ask us questions, and remember that before January 8th, you have a perfect discount. So on this note, I would like to thank you everyone for joining, for having interest in this important topic, and stay safe. Yeah, in this time, stay positive. Positive in the mood and negative in the tests. So what I can say, keep in touch.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Bye-bye then.
Bye-bye. Спасибо.
Спасибо. Bye-bye.